We hope that you're able to join us at other sessions. We do hope to follow up with you after this to hear your feedback about how this format worked and what you'd like to see in the future, because we are committed to making sure that all of our businesses have information about how to have opportunities with the City of Chicago. So thank you, Jackie, and thank you to all of you for being here. With that, I will turn it over to Karen of our team, and I will see you at the end for extra Q&A. Thank you all so much.
Good morning, everyone. As Kathy said, my name is Karen Koka. I'm an attorney with the Department of Procurement Services. I would like to thank you all for taking the time to attend this workshop this morning. This Procurement Fundamentals workshop is intended to give you a high-level overview of how to do business with the City of Chicago. And I apologize, I'm having an issue changing the slide. There we go. Okay, so doing business with the City of Chicago. This slide is just going to outline our topics for today. So first, we're going to go over our mission statement for the Department of Procurement Services. Then we'll go over laws that govern our procurement process, some procurement terminology that you may hear when doing business with the city, the different types of procurement that the city has, certification, contract monitoring and compliance, programs and bid incentives, DPS's website, which my colleague Rodney will go into depth about, and then we'll have the opportunity for questions. So the Department of Procurement's mission statement. We are the contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the City of Chicago. There are other city departments as well as sister agencies like Chicago Public Schools and the CTA that have their own contracting authority. However, we are the main purchasing department for the city. We pledge to work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. Integrity, public trust, and the law are our guiding principles, and these concepts, along with transparency, are key principles to our department. The laws governing the procurement process. So there are two legal sources. The first is the Municipal Purchasing Act. This is the state statute that governs the city's procurement practices. The second is Chapter 2-92 of the Chicago Municipal Code. This contains the city's ordinances that govern purchasing and regulate all of our procurement processes and programs. Procurement terms. So the government has certain terminology that we use in our procurement process. And if this is your first time that you're bidding on a city contract, some of these terms may be new to you, so I'll touch on them briefly. Contract. This is the written agreement between the city and a vendor for the provision of goods and or services to the city by that vendor. There are different types of contracts. So for example, you'll have, commodities contracts, which are for goods, work services contracts. An example of that would be like a landscaping contract. Construction and professional services contracts are two other examples. Bid package. This is a set of documents that's issued by the city to solicit bids for goods and services. This typically is going to include things like the scope of services, bidder requirements, standard terms and conditions, execution pages, exhibits, and the city also provides a checklist for bidders in every bid package. The checklist is important because bidders need to review that. It lists all the documents that are required for bid submission, and bidders should be make sure that that's complete so that their bid can be accepted and evaluated. An addendum is a change to the city's requirements in an invitation to bid, request for qualifications, or request for proposals. An addendum is issued by the Department of Procurement Services to everyone who's picked up a bid package. And addendums often come up when we advertise a bid package, and then bidders come up to us after with questions, which lead to a change in the solicitation. Amendments and modifications. This is a document which formally changes the terms and conditions of a contract after the contract has been awarded. Types of procurement. So we're going to discuss all of these. The different types of procurement are small orders, competitive bids, requests for proposals, which are commonly referred to as RFPs, requests for qualifications, which are commonly referred to as RFQs, and job order contracts, which we call JOC contracts. So first, discussing small orders. Small order solicitations are for $100,000 or less. The Municipal Purchasing Act does not require formal bid specifications or that we publicly advertise small orders. However, we do publicly advertise them on our website or via e-procurement. So per the Municipal Code of Chicago, MBE and WBE compliance are required for any bids over $10,000. Competitive bids. Competitive bids are those for $100,000 or more. They are formally advertised, which is actually required by the law. And we publish them in the Chicago Tribune classified section and on our website. Typically, bids are also available in the bid and bond room at City Hall, but due to the pandemic currently, that room is closed. If it's an electronic bid, which again, most of our bids currently are due to the pandemic, you can log into iSupplier to download a bid package. The bid solicitation period can be anywhere from 10 to 30 calendar days. And some solicitations do require that the vendor submit a deposit, but if a deposit's required, you will be told that within the bid package itself. So continuing with competitive bids, in your competitive bid, you may see a reference to a pre-bid conference. They're generally optional, but strongly recommended. During a pre-bid conference, you'll go over the process for bidding, the specifications, and you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. This may result in an addendum or a clarification being issued. I spoke earlier in the definition slide about what an addendum is. That's when there's an actual change to the solicitation. With a clarification, there's no change to the solicitation documents. The city's just clarifying any questions regarding the solicitation. If there is not a pre-bid meeting, bidders are strongly encouraged to review the specification and contract documents during the bid solicitation period. The DPS contract administrator responsible for the contract will be listed on the solicitation documents, and you can contact this person with any questions. Questions submitted this way can also result in an addendum or clarification being issued. Just touching on the pre-bid conference again, those currently are as well due to the pandemic are being conducted online. Bid documents. So it's important with your bid documents that you fill in all the required information. Certain bid documents must be submitted and executed with the bid, and if not, your bid could be rejected. By law, also, the bid has to be executed, signed, and notarized. Bid submittal. A bid bond or deposit may be required for some bids. That amount will not exceed 10% of the contract amount, and it has to be submitted in proper form, so cash is not accepted. Most importantly, bids must be submitted timely on the bid opening date. Late bids will not be considered as provided for in the solicitation documents. Bid opening. Bid opening is Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Generally, this was done in the bid and bond room, which is currently closed due to COVID-19 and the pandemic. However, we are live streaming bid openings on our YouTube channel. So bids are open and read out loud. They are tabulated. Bid tabulation and bid documents are reviewed for accuracy and completeness. And the bid tabulation can be viewed on DPS's website 24 hours after bid opening. So the award process for competitive bids. First, there's a determination made regarding whether the bidder's responsive and responsibility for the reward. So when we're talking about responsiveness, we mean, have you met all the requirements of the solicitation and submitted all the required documentation? Responsibility means, are you actually capable of performing the services that are solicited? So the department will make a recommendation of award based on what has been provided. And if that's acceptable, the bid package and bid contract documents are routed through the signature and approval process. Contractor performance and payment, bond, insurance, and funding, agency concurrence for award. If those things are applicable, they're obtained. And the contract is awarded to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder meeting the city specifications. So moving on to our next method of procurement, request for proposals, RFPs. This procurement method is generally used to solicit proposals to implement a new project requiring professional services when the city does not have an in-house technical expert or resources to implement that project or services. So when you see an RFP, you will typically see the city has generally defined a very broad scope of services and will not fill in every aspect of those services regarding how they're to be implemented, because that information is going to come from the vendor. There's a detailed evaluation of the proposal by an evaluation committee. The evaluation committee that reviews the proposals is typically a mix of subject matter experts and city representatives that are approved by the chief procurement officer, and they evaluate the proposals based off the criteria specified in the RFP document. So low price is not the only factor with RFPs. We're also looking at things like how the services will be implemented, what teams you will use, and your budget, the awards made to the highest rated and ranked respondent. So that's one primary difference when comparing competitive bids with RFPs, is that with a competitive bid, low price is the focus, but with RFPs, we're looking for the highest rated and ranked respondent that's also responsive and responsible. The next method of procurement, RFQs, requests for qualifications. These are very similar to RFPs. However, what we're concerned with in this situation is a vendor's qualifications. RFQs are used to solicit qualifications from companies with a high degree of technical expertise and knowledge in certain disciplines. We typically pre-qualify pools of vendors to perform certain services that we need for tasks in the future. And how that works is we'll review qualifications, select the most qualified vendors, and award all of them what's called a master consulting agreement. Then the user department will issue task order proposal requests, and individual tasks are awarded to vendors in the pool. So for architecture and engineering RFQs, the cost of the work is negotiated after qualifications are determined as part of the master consulting agreement. And RFQs are most commonly used for architecture and engineering design contracts and certain categories of consulting. The next method of procurement, job order contracts. Job order contracts are construction contracts. They are a firm, fixed price, competitively bid, indefinite quantity contract designed for each department's construction program. However, these are small to medium-sized construction projects. They're not our larger construction projects. So instead of bidding every small or medium construction job and developing plans and technical specifications, departments can use a job order contract instead. General contractors are solicited to respond to an advertised job order contract specification, which contains a unit price book, which we call the construction task catalog. And that has a description, unit of measure, and unit price for each task. With a job order contract, the vendor's proposing an adjustment factor against the price book. So to determine an appropriate adjustment factor, a vendor will assess things like its overhead, profit, and expenses. So the vendor is actually bidding an adjustment factor, not a price. The city's awarding the contract to whichever vendor has the most favorable adjustment factor. The value of a job order contract depends upon the department's needs and budget. So for example, a job order contract will state we may need some electrical services in a particular area, but it doesn't identify the specific tasks until the project is identified. Economic disclosure statements. So a contractor must complete an EDS as part of any procurement with the city. This is something that's required by law, and the EDS generally must be completed online. In addition to the applicant, any legal entity which owns more than a 7.5% interest, either directly or indirectly in the applicant firm, must also file an EDS. There are a number of questions in the EDS that break down ownership and disclosures. If the EDS is not completed, then the city cannot award the contract. So you should just be familiar with the term EDS and remember that not only the contractor has to file one, it can go beyond that depending on the breakdown of ownership. Certification. So DPS is a separate certification workshop that goes into much more detail regarding these certifications that I would encourage you to attend. However, I'm just going to provide a really quick, brief overview. There are 6 types of certification that we offer at the city. There are city programs and federal programs. Our city programs are MBE, WBE, BEPD, and VBE programs. MBE, WBE programs come into play with our MBE, WBE goals. In order to meet commitments on a contract for MBE, WBE participation, you have to use a firm certified by the city or Cook County. The BEPD and VBE programs come into play with our bid incentives. Our federal programs are DBE and ACDBE, and they're governed by federal regulations. If you want to look up the federal regulations, they are 49 CFR Part 26 and 23 for the respective programs. The city is required to certify firms according to those regulations, and this comes into play with our federally funded contracts. So if we receive federal funding for a contract, we're required to have DBE goals as opposed to MBE, WBE goals. The basic eligibility requirements across all of the certifications are similar. So businesses must be at least 51% owned and controlled by qualified minorities, women, veterans, individuals with disabilities, or other disadvantaged individuals. Businesses also must be small businesses, and businesses must be independent and viable. On DPS's website, you can find the rules and regulations for certification in both construction and non-construction that will further detail the eligibility requirements and criteria that the city looks for when we are certifying a firm. MBE, WB, DBE participation. So this slide just touches on where we get our legal authority from for these different types of certification. So section 292-420 sets forth the city's minority-owned and women-owned business enterprise program for all contracts other than construction. Section 292650 sets forth the city's minority and women-owned business enterprise procurement program for construction contracts. And then, as I previously mentioned, 49 CFR Part 26 provides the rules for DBE participation on federally funded contracts. So now we're just going to transition a little bit to talk about compliance issues, commercially useful function. So when we set a goal, it's a contract-specific goal. And the city's looking at things like potential subcontracting opportunities, the number of firms certified in that area, and what is achievable based off this information. And then we set a goal. So then as part of your bid or proposal, you make a commitment to the city to use certified firms for a certain percentage of the contract, or you have to show good faith efforts that you were unable to meet the requirements, which we're going to discuss a little bit more in the next slide. So in order to meet your goal commitment, you must use a firm certified by the city or Cook County that's performing in their area of specialty and is performing a commercially useful function. A certified firm performs a commercially useful function when it's responsible for the execution of a distinct element of the work of the contract, which is carried out by actually performing, managing, and supervising the work involved, or fulfilling responsibilities as a joint venture. That means the certified firm has their own forces, managers, equipment, and they are actually the ones that are performing the work. Reduction waiver and good faith efforts. So what do you do if you can't meet your goals? If you've not submitted a bid yet, you will need to let the city know how much of the goal you can meet and then request a waiver or reduction for the rest. However, if you already submitted a compliance plan and throughout the course of the contract, you realize that you're not going to be able to meet your goals, part of the contract called the special conditions explains how you can ask for a substitution or waiver request. However, you should note, though, that if the chief procurement officer does not grant your request, you will be held to your commitment. At contract closeout, if you have a shortfall, the municipal code authorizes the city to assess liquidated damages. However, the prime contractor is allowed to show that they made good faith efforts to meet the goal, which is taken into account when determining the assessment of those damages. I encourage everyone who's interested in doing business with the city to carefully review the special conditions so you understand the commitments you're making when bidding on a city contract. Contract monitoring and compliance. We monitor contracts from start to finish, including the actual utilization of MBEs, WBEs, and DBs that have been listed as subcontractors on a compliance plan. We also ensure compliance with the Chicago residency ordinance requirements and the EEO commitments, which are for construction contracts. So just to touch on those two briefly, the Chicago residency ordinance applies to construction contracts that are estimated at $100,000 or more and are funded by the city. So for those contracts, 50% of the total work hours have to be performed by actual residents of the city of Chicago, and 7.5% of the total work hours must be performed by project area residents. The bid documents will specify what the project areas are based off community areas that are set by the city clerk. And the reasoning behind this ordinance is that if we're going to be spending city taxpayer dollars, then we want city residents to be able to benefit from that work. Equal employment opportunity. So in order to promote equality of opportunity for minority and female personnel on city-funded construction projects, an award criteria determination, which is based on a canvassing formula, must be inserted into each contract specification that's estimated at $100,000 or more. Bidders are invited to propose a minority and female utilization goals, and there is a cap on the contract goals for canvassing purposes, but we always encourage vendors to utilize as much as possible. So how can you achieve compliance? You can achieve compliance if the prime contractor is a certified firm, if you're joint venturing with a certified firm, subcontracting a portion of the work to one or more certified firms, purchasing materials that are used in the performance of the contract from one or more certified firms. And these methods can be combined in a number of different ways. And the special conditions set forth how these different methods are counted. Reporting requirements. Prime contractors must report monthly subcontractor payment certification forms, and certified firms must confirm these payments. Weekly certified payrolls. This is for construction projects. Certified payrolls help us verify if we're meeting our Chicago resident, project area, and EEO requirements. And waivers of lien. This is also in a construction contract context. It releases the city of liability in the event there's a dispute between the prime contractor and subcontractor for certain work. So now transitioning to programs and bid incentives. There's a lot of information on this slide, and we do a separate workshop where we go in depth on these programs and bid incentives. I am just going to briefly touch on them. So we have a number of programs and bid incentives that are designed to benefit businesses of all sizes throughout the city. There are a few construction programs. The SBI construction program, this is only for small businesses. There's two levels. There's SBI 1, which is for contracts up to $2 million, and SBI 2, which is for contracts up to $3 million. We have our MBI construction program. This is for contracts between $3 and $20 million. We have our non-construction MBI program. This is for small and mid-sized firms for contracts between $3 and $10 million. We have our diversity credit program. This is designed to encourage prime contractors to use certified firms on private sector work. If a prime contractor has a contract with no affirmative action goals and uses a certified firm on that contract, then we'll give a credit up to 5% that can be applied to a city contract. We have our target market program, and this allows MBEs and WBEs to be exclusively eligible to bid on certain projects. We have our mentor protege program. This allows firms to earn bid incentives and additional utilization credit for agreeing to mentor a certified firm on the prime or subcontractor level. And we have our MBE WBE phased graduation program. So for 3 years after you graduated from the certification program, you can participate at a reduced rate. So this slowly eases you out of our program. Bid incentives, as you can see, we have a lot of bid incentives that are listed here. So how those work are, let's say you're bidding on a contract and you apply for a bid incentive that you're eligible for. A certain percentage is then taken from the amount proposed to evaluate bids and determine who the lowest bidder is. But this does not actually impact the amount of the award. It's solely for evaluation purposes. And then for some incentive programs, how they work is that a percentage, it's not taken off as part of your bid, but you get an earned credit, which you can then use on a different solicitation. So this slide here lists our bid incentives. And now I would like to introduce Rodney LeBeau, who will be presenting the second half of this seminar.
Okay, Jackie, can you let me know if you can hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. All right, everyone. Thank you, Karen, for that presentation. Hi, my name is Rodney LeBeau, and I am a public relations representative for DPS. I'm going to go over the online resources portion of this workshop. I'm going to do this in 2 parts. I'm going to have the PowerPoint presentation up here, and then I'm also going to go live on the website. So let's begin. This is what you would see when you first start off interacting with the Department of Procurement Services. This is our main website, and as I said, we're going to go over this later. This is www.chicago.gov/DPS. You can also use chicago.gov/procurement. They both will take you to this main page. Moving forward, as you can see right here, as you scroll down on the page, and as I'll show you later, these are our featured services and programs. We did a couple of different feedback a while ago once we did a redesign of our website, and we located and understood the different parts of the website that people click on the most. So we made sure that those different options were prominent on our web page. So as you can see right here, we have a DPS overview, which we'll look at later. The bid opportunities page that we'll also look at that later. Awarded contracts, how you can go searching for awarded contracts and previous contracts, finding more information there. Our Chicago Certified Firms directory, where you can find a list of who is certified with the City of Chicago in our various certifications. How to register for DPS alerts, the buying plan, which I will touch on next. Our SBI MBI target market opportunities one-pager, which we have created to take out those specific opportunities and have them on one page so they're easily accessible. And then some of our procurement improvements. So as I said, moving forward, we're going to talk about the buying plan first. Now, the buying plan is one of our key transparency initiatives for the city. So this is a forecast of goods and services that the City of Chicago is expected to procure in the next 6 quarters. It allows businesses and vendor communities to prepare for these upcoming solicitations. So not only does the buying plan include the City of Chicago's solicitations and whatnot, it also includes 13 different government agencies, which I will have listed in a second. But the different types of contracting opportunities that you'll find in this buying plan are architecture and engineering, commodities, construction, professional services, small orders, which are purchases under 100,000, vehicles and heavy equipment, and work services. So as I said, we have 13 participating agencies in this buying plan. They are listed. Most of them you should probably be familiar with: Chicago Board of Elections, Housing Authority, the Park District, Public Schools, the CTA, City Colleges, Metropolitan Pier and Exposition Authority. Most recently, we added the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. We have the Public Building Commission, State of Illinois, Cook County, the Forest Preserve District, and the the Illinois Tollway. So the information that you would find in the buying plan. So the buying plan, we'll actually look at the one that we have listed online. It'll look something like this. It'll have the department, it'll have the contract type, when we're anticipating that this solicitation will come out, the advertising date, and potential subcontracting opportunities. So it's put in the matrix like this, so it's just easy to read. We've also highlighted the SBIs, the MBIs, and the target market programs in different colors, just to make sure that your eye catches those quickly, because those are important initiatives and programs that the City of Chicago has in place. Additionally, in the buying plan, you will find at the beginning our how-to guide. So this is just a really quick one-page guide of how to use the buying plan. So in here, we have kind of an overview of what the buying plan is, the types of contracts you'll find in it. As I mentioned, the small business initiative, mid-sized business initiative, and the target markets, which are highlighted in those colors stated. And then some COVID-19 business impact information to help the vendor community during this pandemic. The City of Chicago has many programs that we are offering to help during this pandemic. So this is just a quick, some quick links to take you to those different areas. In the buying plan, we also have the assist agency list. So this is comprised of not-for-profit agencies and chambers of commerce that represent the interests of small, minority, and women-owned businesses. So they also provide programs for these small businesses as well. And then certain assist agencies also have prime contractor lists that have subcontracting opportunities to connect with certified firms. So you could also find this list of assist agencies, which gets updated every buying plan at www.chicago.gov/assist agency. So as I mentioned earlier, we have the SBI MBI target market one pager. So this is just a quick screenshot of that. I'll also show it to you later when we transition to the website. So this is just a one page that gives you a quick quick overview of the SBI program, the MBI program, and the target market program. And then we broke down from the buying plan, those specific ones for this particular buying plan. So just a quick way for you to get access to those particular solicitations. So that was the buying plan. As I said, it's a very important key initiative for our department, for the city. So if you'd like to download that, I believe I answered the question in the chat earlier. It's at www.chicago.gov/buying plan. And that will take you to the buying plan page, and you can download a copy of that today. Just moving forward to another one of our resources, our online resources, and another very important one is the DPS Alert. So the DPS Alert is a weekly email newsletter on the City of Chicago's bid opportunities, procurement news, and events. So this usually comes out every Monday, but we also do additional DPS alerts when we have additional information we want to share to the vendor community. So as you can see right here, there's a picture of our latest one that came out on Monday. And then as you can see, it gives you a lot of information right there at your, right there in your email. So it's really easy to access. So we have about 12,000 subscribers to the list, and it's growing every single day. So that's great. And we also include outreach events from our assist agencies and other government agencies in the realm of procurement. So we just want to make sure that you're getting the information not only from the City of Chicago, but from the different government agencies that are also doing programs and offering information and free services. So additionally to the buying plan, and we'll also see this as well, we include the bid opportunity list. So the bid opportunity list is everything that is out on the market for that particular week. So that updates every week. So I definitely recommend that if you are not signed up for DPS alerts, that you should go to our webpage, and I will show you when we go on the website and sign up for DPS alerts, because it's the best way to get this information quickly to your email every Monday. Also, just please note too that beginning in October, solicitations will be publicly advertised in the Chicago Tribune, and you can also access that information on Public Notice Illinois. So the link is there. It's www.publicnoticeillinois.com. That's another way that you can get the solicitation. Excuse me. And then for the vendor fair, we also created our own microsite to the vendor fair specific. So we're going to touch on that later as well. And then this has the list of the different workshops that we are doing for the next 3 Thursdays, as well as another resource page. So we're making sure that all this information that we have is readily accessible to our community. As always, we are on social media. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we just recently launched our LinkedIn page. So we have many, many, many channels for you to get information about what's going on at the City of Chicago, what's going on at DPS, as well as those solicitations and advertisements. We post those daily. So when those are coming out, they're also being posted on social media. Okay, so we'll come back to the questions part. So we are going to switch over. All right, so this is the main page as I was talking about. We're going to go live on our website. This is our main website, the DPS, chicago.gov/DPS. So just real quick, I want to touch on, we added an addition. So there's multiple ways that you can access the City of Chicago's Department of Procurement Services information. So there's a lot of pages on this. We wanted to make sure we consolidated and provided quick links. So as you can see here at the top, we have a quick link section. So if the giant pictures aren't your thing, you can go to the quick links right here, and you can sign up for the DPS alerts, apply for certifications, get our current bid opportunities, and the list goes on. As I said, we did some research to see what the vendor community clicked on the most and what was most important to them, and made sure we provided these quick links so that it's easily accessible to this information. So not only that, we broke down into different buckets: contract administration and certification and compliance. So as I said earlier, I wanted to touch on the DPS overview. So we added this button recently because we wanted to have a landing page for someone who was just getting started doing business with the city. So this is a quick overview of how to get started doing business with the city of Chicago. I definitely recommend that you take a look if you're starting out. Take a look at this page. A lot of it's the information that I've already told you, but just a really quick way to get all that information. So that's doing business with the city of Chicago, DPS overview page. I wanted to click and show you the buying plans. This is the buying plan that we currently have online right now. Table of contents that just shows you where particular agencies are, who contributes in this buying plan, as I showed you the how-to guide. And then it starts with City of Chicago contracting opportunities. You can scroll all the way through here. And as I mentioned right here, opportunities for SBI and MBI are highlighted to like highlight those particular programs and whatnot. So we wanted to make sure that those were highlighted so you can scroll through and you can see exactly what the City of Chicago is planning on procuring in the next 6 quarters. So if we keep on scrolling, we can get to different organizations like the Chicago Park District. And then at the very end of the list, as I said, is the directory for the City of Chicago assist agencies. So these are those agencies that provide information about what's going on, like on the ground, in terms of like different vendors, like different small businesses that can help prime contractors fill that subcontracting opportunity. So this is the buying plan. As I said, www.chicago.gov/buying plan. Additionally, if you click this big button right here, it will take you to the buying plan as well. So here's that one pager that I was also telling you about that had the small business, mid-sized business, and target market. Here's the second page of that, and it just, as I said, breaks down those 3 particular programs into a quick one pager that you can easily get to. So this accompanies the buying plan. And as always, you can find that one right here, the button right next to the buying plan. Current bid opportunities. So that would be the button right here, bid opportunities. That will take you to this page. So we have the bid opportunities are broken up into 2 separate ones, but as of right now, due to the pandemic, we're doing all of our solicitations online through the e-procurement process. So here's the page that you would start at. E-procurement bid opportunities would be right here. If you take a look at this page, this will take you to the current bid and solicitation opportunities. So you would click right here, and you would get what is currently on the market right now. Additionally, right here, you would click here to download the bid opportunity list I was telling you about. So this is the bid opportunity list right here. This comes to your email if you are registered for DPS alerts every Monday. As I said, this changes weekly. And this will be the page that you would get in there, the link to the page. So as I said, it is available right here. Download the bid opportunity list. It's a PDF. And that's another way to get what is going on currently with solicitation. Our social media, as I said, we are on social media right now. We are always posting on Twitter, on Facebook, our newest one, LinkedIn. And then I wanted to touch on YouTube. So YouTube, we have a list of our past workshops that we do. I actually run a more in-depth workshop called How to Navigate the DPS Website. We spend a whole hour going on a deep dive of how to navigate this website, including touching on how to use the awarded contracts page, how to make sure you know how to navigate that as best and as efficiently as possible, and find out the different information and opportunities that's within that, because there's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of pages. It can get a little daunting sometimes. So that class breaks down just deep dive into those classes. So if you're interested, if you go to our YouTube page and that youtube.com/Chicago DPS, there's a workshop playlist, and it'll have some of the different workshops of our classes. As I said, the one I do, as you see on your screen right now, is how to navigate the DPS website. And then lastly, I wanted to go to our microsite for the DPS, or excuse me, for the vendor fair that we created. So as I said, this is the home page for here, and we created this microsite specifically for the vendor fair. And it also has some of the agencies that you'll be hearing from later on today and the next 2 Thursdays, and we broke it down for the different days. So this one is doing business with government. So if you're interested in some of the other classes that we have, I definitely recommend that you register now. And take advantage of this time, because we have a lot of information that we're sharing with the vendor community. Lastly, we have a resource page, and once again, we love giving as much information as possible to the vendor community. So this is also just kind of giving you another way to download the buying plan, sign up for DPS alerts, get to our e-procurement page and a little information about e-procurement, a department overview, and a procurement resource page. These are all just really quick one-pagers that give like the very high-level information about what we do as a department, and then social media courts. So that's going to conclude my section of this. 1 second, I'm going to turn to the PowerPoint, and I'm going to open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Rodney. I've been trying to triage some of the questions in the Q&A portion. So if folks have questions, please do put those in the Q&A portion. Where there has been something that needs an email address or a website, we've been trying to put that there. So I'm just going to try to go through these and see if we haven't answered some of them. I thank you so much, Rodney and Kieran, for your presentations. I do want to encourage folks to not only sign up for additional sessions at the vendor fair, but also to check out our workshop schedule at chicago.gov/DPS events. Certainly what Rodney did here with the website is he only touched on some of the resources that we have online. There's literally thousands and thousands of pages of information. I do see a question in the Q&A we have from a certified MWBE company who's interested in finding a list of prime contractors for professional services, particularly IT. So, Rodney, jump in if I don't answer this correctly, but, certainly on our website, you can see a listing of awarded contracts. And particularly in IT, there is a predetermined pool, both certified firms and not certified firms. So definitely we can follow up with you about what that specification number is, but you can literally see the listing of who are firms that do have a master consulting agreement with the city of Chicago as IT vendors, and are, in order to find their contact information and to be able to reach out to them directly. So that is contained on our website within the awarded contracts section. But like I said, we can follow up with you after the session to kind of, help you navigate that, to identify that group directly. Did I get that right, Rodney?
Yep. Additionally, I know it's not IT, but in my deep dive for the how to navigate the DPS website, we also have the bid opportunity takeout list, and that also is a way to help subcontractors and prime contractors connect. Anytime a construction bid is taken out, we ask them for their contact information. So if a specific solicitation happens, we have a list of everyone who took out that information. So we are trying to have a networking opportunity for subcontractors and primes to connect to get those contracts together. So I know that's a construction one, but it's just, just in case anyone else is doing construction, that's the bid opportunity takeout list, and that is on the contracts page.
A question came in, we have an MBE certification. Does that mean that we are also SBE certified? Not necessarily. No, you're not SBE certified. If you have an MBE certification with the city or the county, we have reciprocity with the county, you are considered a small business. So for the purposes of race gender neutral programs such as SBI or MBI, if you're certified, you're already considered small, but you don't have a SBE certification in particular. So the city certifies in 6 areas. It's MBE, WBE. I think Kieran mentioned it in her talk. Veteran-owned businesses owned by people with disabilities. Those are used for projects that are locally funded. And there's also a DBE and ACDBE for projects that are federally funded and in the airport environment. So we are actually doing a certification roundtable this afternoon. It's at 1 o'clock. So that kind of goes through different entities and what certifications they offer. But the city or county do not have an SBE certification. Let's see. Someone's asking for the DPS public notice URL again. So we will go ahead and put that in the chat. That's actually a really great site that we discovered in the onset of the pandemic and when a lot of folks were working from home and sheltering in place. So by law, we publish in a publication of like mass circulation. So until October 12th, that was the Sun-Times, and now we are publishing in the Tribune. But the Illinois Public Notice site, I don't know if Rodney or someone will put it in the chat, actually lists public notices for not only the city of Chicago, but if you're interested in government contracting, you can, search for other entities or other public notices. So our sister agencies, a number of them also by law have the requirement to post or publish advertisements in newspapers of general circulation. So this Illinois Public Notice thank you, Rodney, publicnoticeillinois.com website. You can search for notices from government entities in one place. So actually it's kind of convenient for folks. So someone's asking a question about they are certified as a WBE and they're looking for their name in the Chicago Certified Firms Directory. We will, if you have questions like that, by all means, please reach out to us. We can put our feedback email, Rodney, I think also in the chat. So we will follow up with you directly if your particular firm is not being displayed in our Certified Firms Directory. We have a certification unit that will look into that right away. So Rodney is going to add a feedback email to this chat. So if there's questions that, there's other questions that you maybe didn't put in the chat and you have later, you certainly can send that to the DPS feedback email, or if you're having that kind of an issue with the certification directory. Someone asked a question about that they have a nonprofit. If you have a nonprofit or work with a nonprofit that is serving our local businesses and would like to register to be added to the DPS Assist Agency list, I provided an email address in the chat. Certainly you can use the feedback email address that Rodney just gave, or we're throwing a lot of email addresses for you. When we put this slide and this deck online, I think we should just add a slide here that has some of those additional email addresses and resources. So we'll make a note of that. Just to kind of have a handy slide for hey, this is the bids, this is the buying plan, this was the, if you have a question, email. So when we put this deck online, we'll add a slide that has some of that information so that it's easy for everybody. But there is an email address. It's dps.assistagency@cityofchicago.org, or you can email dps.feedback@cityofchicago.org and tell us a little bit about your inquiry and your nonprofit, and we'll talk to you about the registration process to be included on that list. We certainly are absolutely committed to having as many resources as possible to our local vendor community. So if you are working with a nonprofit that's doing that good work, we want to share, information about what you have to offer. Absolutely. So another question came in. Who should we reach out to get SBE certified? It's my understanding that the state offers the SBE certification. I would definitely encourage you to take the class today at 1 o'clock, or check out the slide deck that they will have to offer after the session or the recording. And I think that that'll help you navigate which certification is right for you. I'm scrolling through these questions. There was a question that came up earlier in the session. I think I answered it a little bit. It was for a smaller business. When it comes to needs that are under 10,000, how can companies become part of the process? So it is that like multi-tiered approach that Rodney talked about. One is we publish small orders in the buying plan, so you can see them actually categorized as small orders for the city of Chicago. For the other entities, we just encourage everyone to take a look at that book. And in most cases, they will list like what is the anticipated dollar value. So each entity in that book has their own procuring authority, but right at the front of the book, you will see a link to how to get in touch directly with their procurement division, or where their procurement opportunities are. So that's the long range forecast, checking the buying plan. Our small orders for the city of Chicago will be listed weekly on the bid opportunity list, and they will also be on that e-procurement site. To that end, if anyone's interested in learning more about e-procurement and how to register there and navigate that site, we also have a workshop for that. So that's just a couple of ways to stay in touch of like what small orders are coming out and how you find out about them. Just kind of checking through. So that's looking I think we've gotten all the questions. We have a couple of follow-ups, which we've written to folks in the chat where we'll follow up with you. I just want to double check, Rodney. Did you see? Looks like I kind of handled all the questions. Just want to give folks any other opportunities to ask questions. We do encourage everyone to take a look at this buying plan and take a look at the schedule for today. And the other 2 days of this virtual vendor fair. Next week, we'll be doing a lot of first look workshops, and that's really kind of doing a deeper dive into what our particular departments are going to be purchasing. So it's not going to be like procurement type folks who are going to be doing the talking. It's going to be the subject matter experts who actually will be, talking about those projects and what is that project going to entail. So we encourage everyone to look at the buying plan with that lens, as well as what workshops are coming up in the next couple of weeks, so that you can ask agencies questions specifically about what you're seeing like in the buying plan and on their websites. So that's just how we encourage folks to try to be able to use these sessions that are coming up. We really, all of us value transparency and being as open as upfront about what's coming down the pike and what are opportunities for our local businesses. So with that, I just wanted to last call for questions. Looks like we've made good time. Jackie, Rodney, Kieran, is there anything else that you would like to add or that maybe I haven't covered?
I don't have anything additional, Kathy. I think you covered it all.
No, I'm good. I just want to say thank you to the participants for actually spending some time with us, and stay safe, stay well, and hopefully we'll see you soon after this pandemic is over.
We look forward to being able to see each other in person. Until then, we're going to try to help however we can in the virtual environment. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you again.